Okay, we're live. Okay, guys, welcome to Life Matters with Anua Dedire. Oh my, first time we're doing it on a Saturday, and because I think during the week now, because plus having a baby and all that, it's a little bit stressful to do it early in the morning. To be very sincere with you, and you're just sleeping at 7 o'clock, so I don't think I'll meet up with that. Then most of my guests are in different parts of the world where I feel like it'll be easier for us to like have a Saturday chill than
Mhm.
during the week, early in the morning. So this will allow every one of us to kind of watch and work around it. So today we're good. We're streaming live Facebook, Instagram, Facebook and YouTube live. So if you're watching us, please go check out the YouTube channel at Ano Adedire. So as we go live, I know you all already seen a pretty lady just beside me, but let me do the honors of sending. I'll send her the link so that she'll be able to send it to her friends also. um while we do that, please make sure you share, send to your friends. Yes, it says we're live, so I will. Oh my.
Oh, okay, I found it.
Okay, found it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that means I don't have to send again. Okay, so we're live. I'll be going live on Instagram right now. So for those that are on Instagram and you want to watch us live, yes. Wow. I think this Apple, is it just me or the new Apple updates kind of cuts off your Wi-Fi connection? Or is it
Yes,
just me?
I find that too. Honestly, all my devices are slow.
Yeah, I think this new software, as wonderful as it is, it's not the greatest. So today we're talking about something that we've never talked about, and funny
Ooh,
enough,
that's pretty good.
I think that now thinking about it, I think I was in church when your mom shared your testimony,
Really?
but I just put everything together when I read it on your
Are
website.
you serious?
I'm like, oh, so it was like I couldn't put it all together until I read it, and I'm like,
No way.
oh my
It's a
god,
small world, you know.
it is. It is. So I had been going in and out of. I think most people just knew me in 2016, 2017, just because I've been coming in and out of Canada, but I never stayed for a very long time
Mhm.
at once. Most times I'm always in Nigeria because I was still in law school. So it was a lot of work going back and forth.
Mhm.
But when I came back finally, I think it was one of the Sundays, it was a Thanksgiving Sunday that I was
Yes.
in church and I heard your mom's testimony.
Yeah.
So
I
when I
thought
read it, I'm like,
were you might have been like
oh,
Brother
so
John's guest or something like that?
what do you say?
I said you might have been like, I know that because that Sunday there was lots of people in church. Maybe you were like either like Brother John's, one of Brother John's guests, or I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
knew.
So I'm also in the same group, right?
Yes, it
This
makes
life
sense.
is a
It
part
all
of
makes
this.
sense now. Wow, look at that.
Okay, so I'm going live on Instagram now and I'm going to connect with you right now. Let me just send you the live link so that we can also. So if you have your AirPods with you, just connect your phone to it. I don't believe it will give us a feedback if we both do that.
Okay,
Um, tada, tada. Oh my, sorry, it paused. Okay, okay. I think okay. No, you've not sent me.
we're here. I can
Mm,
do.
okay, so I sent it to your DM. Okay, so I just waved at you. Let me bring you live and let's see. If it doesn't give us a feedback, then we're good to go. Hello, people. Hello, people. Yes, we're waiting. Okay. Okay. So I think it's good how we're having the with the AirPods. God bless you, Apple.
And I have to back up a little bit. There we go.
Okay. So we're both live on Instagram, Facebook. So if you're just watching us for the very first time, please come on in. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channel. Let's do this. So today we're talking with Ufuoma. And funny enough, the former did not come to my head. But I saw your full name and I'm like, oh, so that's where the former.
Yeah.
Like, funny enough, I think that sometimes it's really like we, like, as human beings, we feel like we know a lot until you sit down and do a lot of background and like, oh, okay, no, I didn't know this. Oh, I didn't know this. Oh, I didn't know this. So let me start from the very, 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 very beginning. Where do I start from? Okay, so let me start from here. When you first, like, I know that you knew you were Sikla when you were two, but when you first knew, like, as a child, like, as a,
Ooh. When
like,
I
no, you understand, how
Yeah.
did you feel? Like, were you did you feel angry, like, because I know people that were angry at their parents,
Mhm.
and they felt like their parents didn't do justice to them, or
Mhm.
if I use that word. And why
Yeah.
did you marry each other when you knew this, when you knew that, and all
Mhm.
those things come through your mind. And I'm feeling like, how did you feel when you realized that, oh, this is actually why I've been sick, or this is why I'm always in the hospital, or whatnot?
You're asked this is a deep question. You're starting yourself you're starting yourself serious. Um, let's see. Well, to be honest, I never I feel like it's almost like I never really came to that realization because I just sickle cell was just always a part of me. That's the truth.
Mm,
Like it was I just that's just how I am. I was born this way. It was never really a I felt like I never had that kind of coming of age thing. I
okay.
think what I can recall from young, like my mom, my grandma will tell you that many times when I would get sick, they I would when I would be in the hospital, so when I was really sick and I'd have to go for a hospital admission, that's when the sadness kind of would sink in. And there'd be times
Mm,
where it's 2 days now I've been in pain. They've got me up on all these drugs
yeah.
and I'm still in pain, and I'll start asking mommy why, grandma
Mm,
why does it have to be me? I
mm.
don't think I ever was mad at my parents mommy, daddy,
Because you didn't even realize why you were sick in the first place.
I knew I had sickle cell. I knew it was a part of me, but I don't think I ever made that connection as to have resentment for my parents. And
Yeah,
then when I found out that it was kind of you know, it was a little bit of ignorance that led to them having a child with sickle cell. I
yeah.
still never really had that resentment. It was more I'm so used to my life being like this, so there's no point getting upset. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
I never
So, so
really resentment wasn't a thing for me.
So when you realized what, because I'm just looking at it that I had classmates that were like, I lost classmates that were like that, right? And for most of them, they felt they're more or less like, um should I use the word ostracized in school then?
Yeah.
You understand? So how was that phase like for you?
Well, I was actually born in Canada,
Okay.
so my parents met in Germany and they moved to Toronto, and that's where a few months after they moved, I was born. So I never really my number one, my mom never hid that I had sickle cell. Everyone
Oh,
knew. Yeah, she everyone knew. My mom was always really public with it. She was studying nursing, so I think that
okay.
I had to deal with why. And my mom actually also had a sister that passed away from sickle cell too.
Wow.
So I think that that knowledge kind of all of those things contributed into the factor that she would never hide it from me. So they never made me feel bad. The
Mm.
only thing, and when I was in school too, I never really it was more like children just didn't understand sickle cell are your blood cells S-shaped, and that was the height of it. Or oh, Fola,
Oh
you missed
my.
school. Well, we haven't seen you in school in a little bit. And then I
Mm.
would just go ahead playing but
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing was actually with my family.
Mm.
Especially on one half of my family, they just ostracized my mom and I, and my dad. They were like, you gave birth to a sickler, you gave birth to a child that's a witch. It really split up our yeah. I'm,
Oh my God.
I'm not even joking. And till this I promise you, it wasn't until so I turned when I had my transplant, I had turned 18.
Hmm.
And I think like a few months into my transplant, when I was 18, that was when some of my other family members that had ostracized me for years, that was like the first time some of them hit me up, wanted to talk to me.
Wow.
I don't till this day, my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family, they like don't talk simply
Wow.
because I had sickle cell. So
Wow.
yeah, like so that's the stigma didn't really come from like
From
school
school, it
and
came
like
from family themselves.
yes, it came from it
Oh.
always had to be like the Nigerians, not anybody else.
Hmm.
So that's kind of
Wow. Wow. That's deep, man.
yeah. So that's why I'm like, and even though so it's funny because now I'm way older, I've gone through all of these things, I've met so many different people, and even though I am very vocal with sickle cell. Everyone, it's never been a secret. I've been really, really open, and I continue to want to show that, I had sickle cell, I have sickle cell, and I'm doing all of these things. But I know that there are people in Nigerian communities in this Edmonton that I'm living in that are still so, like, they don't say it out loud.
Hmm.
Like, I would go to, like, even go to church with people who
Hmm.
I found out that one of their children has sickle cell. And it's one of those things where you don't realize how
And the kids don't
damaging
even get support. So it's just for
exactly,
your own selfish privacy.
exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
because it's like I just know number one, there were so many times where my mom had to go through a lot of this alone. It was just the
Hmm.
two of us in the hospital and stuff. And to
Wow.
talk to someone who actually knows what you're going through, we
Hmm.
thought we thought it was just us.
Hmm.
Only to find out there are actually people
Hmm.
who we live in this Edmonton, we're working in the same field,
Hmm.
we're going to the same church, you can pray with us, you can really empathize with us, and they don't say anything. So that
Hmm.
stigma from Nigeria is still affects us here in the Western world.
So what do you think? And I just want to talk about that for 1 minute. And I know people feel like, oh, this is a very serious topic. It's not serious. You get off on here, but I feel like people need to. What do you feel is the old secrecy behind it? Because I know that before you were born, there's
Mhm,
always been like that. There's always been a lot of issues when it surrounds people giving birth to kids that were are sickler and all that. But
mhm,
when 2020, where you feel like everybody's kind of vocal about a lot of things right now, like
yeah,
sexual abuse, like inequality and all these things. Everyone is vocal about it because they feel like we should know better, we should do better. There's someone
mhm,
next door that's actually going through the same thing. I remember that I was talking to a friend of mine, and a friend that I met online, and she was talking about inequality in her career where they're looking for contracts or jobs to give people, and because she's a lady or
yeah,
because she's a woman, they pay the guy better and they
mhm,
give the guys more opportunities. And funny enough, one day I was watching, I think it was a movie or like something. They were doing like someone's life, and they were talking about basically the exact thing she's going through right now. And I was telling my husband, I'm like, can you imagine this person is actually going through this thing in 2020 where
you
there's still
know.
inequality, right? So why do you think that we still have that inequality, or that bias or that place of privacy when it comes to the health of certain people, where there are bodies out there, people out there that can reach out to, that can help that kid or help that adult? Why do you think that we are still very private about it?
Um, I think a lot of it has to do with um, so I don't want to sound like, I'm really blaming Nigeria. Nigeria is a bad place. I really don't
Sure.
want to because, like I love Nigeria and everything. But I think the truth of the matter is there is just not enough education and
Mm,
like on the actual subject matter. Like people are just ignorant to what exactly sickle cell is, how you get sickle cell, that it has nothing to do with the juju, it has nothing to do with which nobody did anything to you.
mm,
It's literally just genetics, you
mm,
know? And I think that when those back home and in all across Nigeria, they start to like understand that this has nothing to do. There is no witchcraft associated with it.
yeah.
Then people will start to like, you know, um, they'll start to be more vocal. And I even heard that because so my grandma has diabetes,
Yeah.
And my grandma lived in Canada for about 8 years. So she raised me and my siblings for like 8 years.
Yeah.
And so it was when she came to Canada, she found out she had diabetes, right?
Wow.
When she went back to Nigeria and she told like some of her friends, like, yeah, I have diabetes. This is the medicine that I take for my sugar, da 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 da. And they were telling, hey, 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 mommy, don't say that out loud. Mommy, don't say that out loud. And it just goes to show that any sickness that you have in Nigeria, you are
Hmm.
supposed to be quiet about it. You essentially
Wow.
either they think that I don't know if it's they think that it's everything's contagious, or they
Yeah.
think that maybe there's somebody who's constantly putting juju on you or something like that.
Hmm.
It's all across the board for health in
Hmm.
Nigeria. And
Hmm.
I think that mentality, we don't realize how that leaves implicit, like, bias and beliefs when we
Hmm.
now leave and we get into the diaspora, right? And now some of the things you learn to Nigeria and all these this culture in Nigeria, it still follows you here and you don't change. So you find that a lot of people in the diaspora, they still have these beliefs, even though you're in a society where people will
Even though you go
celebrate
to
you.
church and you're even a Christian.
You know what I mean? Where these people
Yeah.
celebrate you, they will pray for you. People are like, for example, I have this organization and I am looking for people to help. And there are people that I help, but they're still in secret, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it really just has to do with lack of education as to what a lot of illnesses actually are in Nigeria.
Hmm. So whether you are out of Nigeria or not, it still boils down to what people still do most times, which is they still try to keep things secret. And at the end
Exactly.
of the day, when everything has now bust, they will now start looking for help everywhere. So I think we just
Yeah.
need to do better, even amongst us as Christians. So
Hmm.
let's go back to you. Let's go back to you,
Okay.
because this is about your journey, and I'm really, really grateful that you're speaking out and you're trying to help others, because it's important that everyone actually shares their struggle, so that you never know where. Like I was telling my friend yesterday, Damian, and she was like, "How are you doing?" And I'm like, to be very sincere, and I shared certain things to her, and I said, when people give birth, especially in the African community, for certain people, they don't share what they've been through, especially like childbirth, or like, apart from YouTube channels that you watch, you understand, you never see people that say, oh, you are heavy. Let me tell you, this will happen to me. This will happen to me. Don't make this mistake. Don't make that mistakes. I had just very few people do that. You understand that will
Mhm.
go out of their way to say all this. And I feel like we should do better as a community. I think it will create a bond with us when we do that as a community, where, like I was telling someone that, oh, it's not how they painted it. You understand? Like,
Mhm.
oh, you see this cute baby, like, oh my God, your baby's so cute. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, but this is like 3 hours of sleep. Yeah. You get. So I'll just take a couple of comments. I think there's a really good point. A lot of us Nigerians leave Nigeria, but allow ourselves to be fully embrace the new knowledge. Don't allow ourselves to embrace the full new knowledge that we have about what these diseases really mean. Very true, gift. Thank you very much. So my next question is, have you ever asked your mom about the financial and mental constraint of what happened? Because I know that, like you said, she was in and out of the hospital. She was always like all those things going on. Did you ever sit and have that conversation, that how were you really feeling mentally and how did it affect us financially? And what was
Um,
her response? Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a direct conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
it in different because there's been different stages of like my journey, right? And so,
Hmm.
like I said, my mom studied nursing, and so she's been a registered nurse for like 15 years or something, like even more than. And so it was really like I'm a really big believer, like really and truly, God actually does have a plan, and like He orders our steps so well because my mom is a registered nurse, and so me having sickle cell, obviously, I spent a lot of time in the hospital, and so what we would do is that my mom would apply for anywhere we moved. She would apply for work in like the main general hospital, and she would always like that's where she would work. And so anytime I got sick, I would just go to that hospital that she works at, the general hospital. And so it just made it easy that anytime I had a crisis and I was in the hospital, she could actually still work because she would just be maybe upstairs, a couple floors up, doing her job. And then on her breaks, she would come down. She'd tell her manager, like, hey, this is what's going on with my daughter. She's on this floor. And then she takes her breaks with me. She comes there. So I think it was more for her, it was a mental thing because financially
Mm,
we're actually really lucky and we didn't suffer like many people actually do with sickle cell,
mm,
where they can't keep jobs or anything. I can't imagine what it would be like if my mom didn't have a job that aligned so well with what was happening to me.
mm,
But I know for sure that mentally it was really hard for her sometimes where she doesn't get the luxury sometimes to just, like it's like I think she was always kind of on edge,
mm,
always checking up on me. Like she just it was hard for her to always have that peace of mind.
mm,
And then I know the only time financially that was a little bit difficult was when we went for our transplant. And that's when we definitely had conversations about what was going on,
mm,
where she was now struggling with her union to like get like them to actually give her sick time or like a paid leave because she was caring for her daughter because I was over 18 and all these different clauses which really didn't make sense. Like there was nothing for I have to be the primary caretaker of this person. So during that time she really did struggle. It was a little bit hard financially, but it's one of those things where we put a lot of our trust in God and now we've kind of made it out. So yeah.
yeah. So in a tiny uniform, like, and it was recently I actually knew there is SS, there's SC, there is AC. I had no girl,
Yeah.
I had no clue. So I was watching this. I don't know if you saw the Indani, they had a kind of table talk. It was
Mhm.
in Indani talks, but they had someone that was SS, someone that is like I think two of them are both SS and one is AC. And that was the first time I was hearing, I think SC. I know Dami herself is AC, right? And in my head, I'm like, what? Like I had
I
no clue there are
know.
different types. So for you, what's okay in a I know we can't understand it because we don't know it, right? Like a brief summary, what happens to your body and how do you feel when you go into a crisis, basically?
So I am SS, so I've got like full blown sickle cell. No
Yeah.
cheap it's ifs ands about it. But so essentially what it is the blood cells obviously they aren't able to properly carry oxygen. They can't latch onto oxygen.
Yeah.
So essentially all different parts of your body are deprived of oxygen.
Mm,
And so when you go into a pain crisis, everybody's story is different, but I think pain crisis is something that most sickle cell patients can really relate to. And for
mm,
me, it would always, for one thing, I know most times I would get sick at night. Don't know why. Maybe part of the reason why they thought that it has to do with witch in Nigeria, because I, I would mainly get sick at night. But throughout the day, oftentimes I could tell it was going to come because
mm,
it starts off very like subtle. You feel
mm,
what kind of pain? It's always in the joints. Oh, my elbow kind of feels weird. My leg kind of feels weird. My back kind of feels weird. Oh, my chest, and it'll be moving. It moves
mm,
all over, and then when it's really showtime, it'll start like it just it picks a spot for me. It would pick a spot in my arm, my left arm, my right arm, my leg, my back.
mm.
Um, I I never ever had it where it would settle in my chest, thank God, because a chest crisis is very, very serious. Like you need to
Yeah.
be an emergency. But for me, oftentimes, like my back, my chest, and it is the worst pain ever. Like
Mm,
I don't wish it on my worst enemy. Like
mm,
I I genuinely think I have some form of PTSD. Like I haven't had a crisis in like 5 years, but I
mm,
promise you, I will never forget that pain as long as I live. Like it's a different kind of pain. Like it's not something that normal people will experience. I can't explain it. Like
mm,
I've gotten so good at being able to tell the difference between different types of pain. Oh, this is just a regular headache. Oh, like I must have hurt myself, and this is like a crisis pain. Like
mm,
some people describe it as like it feels like someone's like hammering on your bones. For me,
mm,
it's a pulsating pain. Like
mm.
it is so serious. I can't. It's very gruesome. Like
As you're saying it, I'm relieving my labor pain.
honestly, my mom even said, I wonder how you're gonna do in that stage of life because only
I,
God knows. Like maybe it'll be a walk in the park, maybe it won't
it
because
could be. It could be.
it's
I can never
so
know. You
serious.
never know.
yeah, like that pain, I it is so one and like I have a very high pain tolerance, but like there's the one of the best ways is you often find a lot of people they cry out loud. Like I
Mm,
would get to the emergency room and like like would put on a show for them. Like
mm,
many people never would forget me in the hospitals because I would only go to one hospital. Many of
wow.
them still remember me till this day.
Mm,
And so yeah, like man, people are going through a lot. That's all I can say.
wow. So I'll just read a couple of comments and we'll continue. And someone says, I also think religion has to do with it. A lot of Christians don't want to speak out because they're always not like they're careful not to confess negative things on themselves. Weird. So
Good point.
okay, so I'll speak to two angles about that. The first side of it is yes, I'm the kind of person. I'm also that kind of person that if I have a headache, instead of saying, "Oh, I have a headache," or "I had a headache," if you say, oh, "What's going on?" I'm having a headache, but I believe that it will go. Like
Mm,
I will just believe it
mm,
doesn't reduce the fact that when I take Tylenol, I'm reducing my faith. And I think that's what as Christians we need to understand that there's a place of medicine and there's a place of faith.
yeah.
Um and the other side to it is also that kind of person that just likes saying negative stuff. I am some people are just very paranoid when it comes
Mm,
to speaking negative about themselves. Like
yeah.
if they have a small scratch, or maybe I have but whatever jargons I wanted to say, but they will just look for something that, oh, maybe it's a migraine, or maybe my brain is not. I'm like calm down.
Yeah.
Like I understand that this is what you're going through, but you don't have to think of the worst. I think
Yeah.
that's the other side to it. That's why it's okay to say I have a headache. It's okay to say yes, God will heal me.
100%.
And it's okay to also say God will heal me, but I need to take a Tylenol and rest because
Yep.
I need to rest, that kind of thing.
100%.
So take us through your transplant process. How did it look like? What did it look like? And how was recovery for you?
So transplant was an extremely long process. Like I think we spent like at least a year preparing for it. Yeah, like
Wow.
from first trying to make sure that because my sister that was my donor, so my both of my siblings had to do some blood tests to make sure that they were 100% match. And my sister is actually trait, but that works fine because obviously when you have trait, most times you don't have any sickle cell symptoms. You have enough
Mm,
healthy hemoglobin to keep you going.
mm,
And so, yeah, we both had our test done. It came back that she was 100% match. And even in the beginning, I was like, I don't want to do it. This is so scary. Because, especially at the time when I did, I had a reduced intensity bone marrow transplant. And 4 years ago, it was really new to Canada. Like, they
wow.
were really only doing it for children and like very young children, not a lot of sickle cell patients, and nobody that was at the time I was 18. So I was the oldest patient they had think they were going to operate on. And
Mm,
so that was just so scary to me, but my family just really thank God for them. They convinced me that, like at the end of the day, like and my doctor, I have to shout out Stollery Children's Hospital here in Edmonton.
yeah.
Amazing team. They care so much. Like if there's anyone that who has sickle cell, and they don't have or they're someone's dealing with sickle cell, they don't have like a team, you really need to get in contact with them. They really do care about you, and they try so hard to think about all the aspects going on in your life. And so there was a bunch of emailing back and forth between like the boards because I was older, but they wanted to make sure that I had this transplant as soon as possible.
Mm,
So after that, getting closer and closer to the transplant, like the month before, it was like appointments day after day after day. They would have to increase some of my medications, stop some of my medications. I had like a red cell exchange. Like it was a busy time for me.
mm,
I wasn't allowed to travel. I wasn't allowed to do anything for like 6 months prior.
mm.
And then following, I had to move to Calgary because it's in Calgary where they do bone marrow transplants.
Wow.
So yeah, so my mom and I moved to Calgary, and that's where I had my big day on September 1st, 2016.
Mm,
And ironically, I guess because I've gone through so much in the hospitals before, it almost felt like the transplant process was kind of like a walk in the park. Like
Mm,
the chemotherapy, the radiation, it all seemed like it wasn't too bad,
mm,
but like definitely there were lots of side effects. Like every day, I would progressively feel just sicker and sicker and sicker with the chemotherapy, and then the radiation. Like that was probably the scariest time for me because
mm.
I had to do like total body irradiation. So there was no
Wow.
protection. Most times when you go for like an X-ray, they like put the lead around you to cover
Yeah.
like, reproductive organs. Nothing. I was completely, and I think it was like an hour procedure. And like I remember I was so scared that day
Mm.
and did the procedure, and then I came back and I had the worst headache of my life. Like
Wow.
it was horrible. Like I had to lay in the dark. My tongue changed a different color the next day. It was just serious. And then 2 days later, I had the infusion, and it's just like a blood transfusion.
Yeah.
Bone marrow's in a bag. They feed it through. I had like an intravenous
So
line
they
here.
kind of drain out yours and put that in.
No, so
Okay.
it's just like a normal blood transfusion. It just
Okay.
for some people it'll be in an IV. I had like an intravenous port.
Okay.
They just feed it in like a blood transfusion or like saline, and the bone marrow somehow knows where to go.
Mm.
And then that's it. And then it's just 100 days of like very serious monitoring, where
Wow.
everyday blood work, every day checking your electrolytes, all your levels, different things. I remember, I think I had some sort of virus that came up. I had to go back to the hospital because I was living in a house nearby the hospital. And I remember I had to go back and then live, like stay in the hospital for some weeks. And they were giving me some serious antibiotics, like that had like systemic effects where my
Wow.
body would feel like I was vibrating. Oh, my days. And
Wow.
then we thank God I finally made it to my 100 days. And I remember in 2017 in January, I was like, I'm going back to school. So I decided to start university because I was so upset that I couldn't start when everyone else did.
Yeah.
And I threw myself into university. I don't think I would recommend anyone to do that. Like, like
Because
I
it was
look
stressful for you, right?
Yeah, like it was. I had to coordinate going for weekly appointments with all my classes. I had to coordinate doing blood work at 8 a.m. with my lab. Oh my God, it was so stressful. And
Mm.
like, your immune system is so suppressed, right? Because they've given you all this chemotherapy, they've knocked out your immune system to allow your body to accept the bone marrow from your donor.
Yeah.
And then you have to build up your immune system. For about 2 years, I had the immune system of like a newborn.
Oh my.
And I decided to go to school where I'm at the U of A.
And there's
Millions,
everybody.
yeah, just too many
If it
people,
was a smaller school, yeah, but it's the
you
U of it,
know,
like.
and I just like, I remember like, I would, there was the first time I caught a cold, I like peaked a fever. I had to go to the hospital. They had to treat
Wow.
me. And then I remember within like 2 weeks, I had already caught a cold. I had like a cold for like, I kid you not, 3 months. It just never went away because my immune
Wow.
system just couldn't. And so it was just one minor complication after another.
Mm,
But in the grand scheme of things, like I was healthy. I was actually
mm,
way healthier than I had ever been in my whole entire life.
mm,
Like I physically knew that like, oh my God, I had been sick my whole life. And I
mm,
can legitimately feel that I am not the same way I was.
mm.
So I'm really grateful
Wow.
despite everything.
Yeah, as you were saying it, I was just thinking about we never appreciate God for the little things. Like you
Literally.
having a headache and you having a cold for 3 months. I'm just imagining wherever you are, and people be like, "Oh, use vitamin C. Oh no, drink this. Oh, drink that." And in your head, you're like, "Guys, like you can't understand what I'm going. You can't understand what I'm going through because
Yeah.
it's I'm just thinking of like you normally you have a cold in 2 days, you're already like good, right? Imagine having blocked nose. It's something to just reflect and just thank God every time we have a headache or you have a pain in your
Honestly,
body and you're healed in less than 24 hours. Like
you really don't realize like the
Mm.
blessing it is to just have like normal health. Like I remember when I finally like started to be able to like function normally, I could like just live a normal life. I remember being so happy that I could run and catch the bus, and
Mm.
I
Mm.
would feel normal because before my transplant, if I ran like sprint to go and catch the bus, like I'm about to miss it. When I sit down on the bus, I can literally feel like my blood cells like sickling. Like I don't know, it's something that many people who have sickle cell can relate to. Like
Yeah.
feel these sharp pains in your chest, in
Mm.
your lower back, like, and it takes like maybe like almost 10 minutes for you to finally like calm your body to calm down because you just starved your body of so much oxygen. And
Mm.
I can do that now. And
Wow.
nothing. Like I was like, wow, I'm living a
Did you
normal
ever
life.
fall? Like, how we have the snow and all that?
Did I ever fall? I'm sure I have. Everyone falls in this Canada. It's a humbling experience. But definitely like some things like can turn into a crisis real quick. Like that was
Mm.
how it was then. If I went swimming, I was out in the cold too long. I
Mm.
I played too much sports, too much,
Mm.
pushed myself. I was gonna get sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So how did this process draw you closer to God? Because I know that for some people they would have thought the worst, especially when you're having the surgery, or probably when sometimes you have a crisis that is probably like major than the last one you had, right? So
hmm
how did you draw you closer to God as a person?
I think it was oh, funny enough, actually, 2016 was the year they had Live It Loud in Edmonton.
Yeah.
So I remember that was my first Live It Loud ever. And I remember going there and like I didn't really go with like too many friends or anything. And I wasn't even there to like make friends or anything. Like I just remember that was about a month before I even know, like maybe 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks before I had to go to Calgary. And so I was just so scared. Like I just it was fear of the unknown. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought I was going to die or something. That's really how I was feeling. And so I just remember at that Live It Loud, you do we're doing lots of prayers and stuff over
Yeah.
that conference. And I just remember all I was asking for was that, like, like I just need your protection. I just need you to be there for me. I'm
Mm.
so scared. I need you to take control, type of thing. And I think I just kind of kept that same attitude because every day I never knew what was going to happen.
Mm.
Like it was like one of those things where every day we live our lives and we just go to sleep and wake up and it is what it is. But I felt like when I was in transplant, it like to my mom, to me, there was no guarantee that I was going to wake up tomorrow morning. That's how it felt
Mm.
because they were pumping me with all these medications, and there was like I think I would count. I was taking like 20 pills in the morning, 20, no,
Wow.
no exaggeration. And so all just so much was going on. And so I remember there were
Mm.
times where I was just so sad. I didn't have anyone to talk to. And I found that there were like two songs that my mom and I would listen to, some worship songs that we would listen to just to
Mm.
kind of keep my spirit up. And I think that was just like, and also after transplant, because like I said, I had total body irradiation. And so it like can affect your fertility. And
Mm.
I remember
That's another scare.
it really was because for about a year I didn't see any menstruation.
Wow.
Yeah, but almost over a year in fact. And I remember drawing near the end of that year, I felt like, because I think I even went to an appointment and they told me like, yeah, like your fertility, like you had ovarian failure. And yeah, that's what they told me. And they were like, we're not really 100% sure. We can't guarantee this, can't guarantee that. And I just felt like I was like less of a human, less of a woman,
Mm.
because they kind of like took that from me and they had told me it was going to be fine. And I remember just I started getting even closer to Christ at that time because I had to learn that, like, at the end of the day, like, this is not what makes you a woman or a human. Like, literally, God has designed
God
you.
doesn't even need that to give you a child.
You
That's
know what I mean? Like,
enough.
God has designed you. He's laid everything out for you. So it
Mm,
doesn't matter what this person says. Doesn't matter what the doctor says. Like at the end of
mm,
the day, like you really and truly, like you are beautifully made in God's image. So don't
yeah.
let these things shake you.
Mm,
So those are things that really had to like build my faith. And
wow.
now I live a life. It's just like God is going to do what He wants to do. So
Mm,
that's kind
mm.
of yeah.
Oh my, um, it just made me think of this song by Anthony Brown. I trust in you, and the words were are you did not create me to worry, you did not create me to fear. Um, oh my God, all you something something is to worship. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember the lyrics.
Sha.
But it's all about trusting God, and I think
Yeah,
that will take you through that process where you really, really will need to like trust, like,
100%.
and I don't know who's watching this, who will watch this later, and probably you're in the sick bed or you're going through something right now, and you feel like you're like very, very low. He's too faithful to fail, and just
100%.
trust in him. Just trust in him.
Yeah, like
So I know that the project not just you want to share what it's about, what gave birth to it, what the vision is about, and how people can get through to you.
so kind of not just you, it's a nonprofit sickle cell organization. And essentially, what I want to do is just to be able to shed some positive light on individuals and families dealing with sickle cell disease. I really want to work towards eradicating that shame and stigma.
Mm,
And kind of the birth of Not Just You, it was really just that of there's so many like times where like I have so a lifelong experience of dealing with sickle cell, all the implications that surround it, like
mm,
a plethora of different experiences. Like my even like my health record file is massive. Like, even things because sickle cell affects you in many ways you can't even explain. And
mm,
so in different areas, I felt like I had so much experience that could really help people and could be a platform to connect people so that they know that it's not just them going through sickle cell, it's not
mm,
just them going through their disease. Like sickle
mm.
cell is a very invisible disease. No one knew that I had sickle cell until I got sick. That's just the truth.
Wow.
Like there's so many people, like it's hard unless you really know. Sometimes, even if you know all the little things that people with sickle cell, like some of the traits that they have, you still won't be able to tell. So people are going through things on like by themselves, and I want them to have a community that like is really here to like lift them up, because nobody will ever say anything negative to you if you're going through cancer.
Mm,
And
mm,
a lot of these, there's so much money in cancer research and all these cancer foundations. And they often, like, those are the people that were helping me. They were giving me little resources, making me hats, all these nice things. And
mm,
I wanted to be able to have something that's catered for people with sickle cell. So they're not just like swept under another umbrella. And so it was one of those things where, like, what really kept me going through those like days during my transplant was just I kept looking forward to be able to share that like I've made it out. I was so
mm,
ready to share my testimony. And I think
mm.
that's kind of what Not Just You kind of like
Wow.
it represents to me, is that I'm able to show that even when I was sick, and like you dealing with whatever illness that you have right now, like
Yeah.
you can still make change, you can make a difference, you can impact so many people's lives.
Mm,
And so that's what it is like. And like to encourage anybody, like if you can keep picturing, like my mom said, she would say this to me almost every day when we were there, that 7 years is not forever.
mm,
And that this what you're going through, it's at the end of the day it's going to be temporary. You're going to look
mm,
back and be like, oh my god, thank you.
mm,
So I just want to be able to encourage people with what all the things that I have gone through in this life, and let people know that there are people going to support you. You're going to get through this. And so yeah. And so if
mm,
you're looking to support Not Just You, you can go to our website, notjustyou.ca. You can go to our Instagram, notjustyou_NJY on Instagram. And yeah, you can donate. it's been kind of hard with COVID to have any events and stuff. So if you want to
Yeah, I know, I know.
um,
Except if you want to have an online event, right?
yeah, it's really hard
And
to keep things.
and another way, just a tip for not just, yeah, I think another way is also to get people that across the world, that are sickle cell survivors or even still battling with it, and see how people can be educated, because I think, like you said, it's the education that it's
Hmm.
lacking across board in different parts of the world. And I think that
Yeah.
if we can do better in educating themselves on what this is all about, and how we can do better in how we view people that even going through it, and there's no stigma, there's no,
Mm.
you kind of look at the family going through it, and just like how you have empathy for someone that's going through cancer and stuff, you have the same empathy. I think that people just feel, oh, this person's born with it. It's different from a person that was diagnosed with this, and there's no difference, right? We
Mhm.
all want to live in good health, and that's one of the most important things. So it's good work. I feel like another thing that the reason why the name of the organization resonates to me is because it's not just you, and it's
Mhm.
just literally like, you're not the only one doing going through this. We can always help. So if you need a helping hand, or if you need somewhere, people to talk to, an organization to reach out to, you're going through um sickle cell disease, whether you're AC or SS or AS or whichever one it is, and you're struggling with one thing or the other, you have friends across, but please reach out to them. And for you that you're probably AA or you are AS and you want to support a good cause, please reach out to
Mhm.
them and also
And if
donate.
you don't know, please go get screened for sickle cell trait. I'm
Mm.
the number one advocate. If you don't know how, talk to me. I will gladly walk you through the process because it's, again, education.
You could put it here. You could say it, and let people have an idea of what
Yeah,
it
so
is.
essentially, like, just go to your doctor, if you're a general practitioner, even a walk-in clinic, and just say, I would like to get screened for sickle cell trait, and they will get you a requisition. You go get the blood work done, and then they will call you with the results. And especially right now, they'll call you with the results. You can even go in if they're taking too long. You can call them and say, I would like my results, and that's literally all it is. And if you know you're AA, awesome for you. The world is your oyster.
I
If
know,
you are
right? The only thing we had to fight it was malaria.
you know, if you are AS, then you need to be a little more careful. You need to pay attention. You need to ask your partner. If you're in a serious relationship and you don't know, you need to. You need to find
Mm,
out. And if you still choose to want to have children, you need to start speaking to a doctor because we live in 2020. There are lots of genetic therapies, fertility therapies, where you can still have a child if you are both AA without the fear of them getting sick. So I definitely think that it is so important. Prevention is the best cure.
yeah,
Want like yes, I came out happily on the other side of transplant, but the truth is like it's not the same story for everybody. Some people don't
yeah,
even have access to transplant,
sure.
might not have a match, might not have the money. We live in Canada where we're so blessed to have universal health care. But in America, that is not the same story.
It's not.
It's like I don't even know the exact numbers, but I heard like it's like $250,000 for the transplant.
Mm,
Where do people get that kind of money? You can imagine
wow.
people in Nigeria trying to convert that from naira to USD or CAD,
Yeah,
you know?
very
So
true.
it's really serious. So I just urge you guys, know what
Yeah,
you're
know your
doing.
genotype.
It makes
They
life
prob-
easy.
just know it. You
Don't be
never know.
ashamed.
And
It is
like you
normal
said,
conversation.
yeah. And like you said, funny enough, I and Dan wanted to talk about this. I heard from God, but we're not the same genotype, and we've heard several instances. I know it sounds like a cliche topic, but we're talking about this when it comes to, like, for her, she talked about it like it's also always tough when you're in a relationship, and at the end of the day your feelings are already coming in and all that, and the person just says, oh, I'm AS, oh, I'm AC, and it all falls down
Mhm.
to the ground, right? But to be very sincere with you from the very get-go, actually, if you're SS, if you're AC, if you are SC, please, from the first date, like
Yeah. No,
From the very
honestly,
first
it was,
date.
for me, it was a good way to measure if people were serious. If you're interested in me and I tell you, yeah, so I need to know what your genotype is, I need you to do this, and you chose not to, then I just think you don't care about what's important to me.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't, like, I know it seems daunting to talk about having kids with someone on the first date, but like this stuff is important.
Is my life.
It is. It's my life. It could be your life. Like,
Yeah.
everything should be general conversation. What's your favorite color? What's your genotype? You know?
Yep, yep. So it's important. Don't let love blind common sense, to be very
Yep.
sincere with you.
And if
So
the love is
please,
that hot, talk to a doctor.
yeah. So and if you don't know your genotype, please talk to a doctor, like she said. Make sure that you're not shy about it. If you're living with it, or if even if whatever disease or whatever thing that you've been diagnosed of, find support groups. It's very important to find support groups that you can reach out to and say, oh guys, this is what's going on with me. I'm this, I'm that, and this is what.
Mhm.
Find some people that you can talk to. It's very, very important. I feel like the reason why we go through a lot of things is there's an adage in Yoruba, and they say that whoever keeps quiet, how do I interpret it? Whoever keeps quiet to whatever is going through, everybody will keep quiet with him or her. So you're the only one that know where it hurts in your body, whether it's emotional, even when it comes to trauma or depression or whatever it is. If you're going through something, please find support groups, talk to someone, feel free to talk to someone and let the person know that this is what I'm going through. How can you advise? How can you help? And when you are giving that information, people, please, it's not a place to now say, did you find out that here former was it's not meant for that. There's a place of confidentiality and integrity when people share things with you. So whether you're a pastor, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a friend, whether you're a father, you should always put a place of integrity and confidentiality should be top of your list, and also same to counselors. Now before we go, I also wanted to ask this question. Yeah, how did it affect school for you, and has been school like since you're back and better?
Hmm. I think, elementary, not, they're really lenient with you. And luckily for me, like, I was never out of school for more than, like, the longest I'd be out of school, I think was like 3 weeks. And that was actually when I was in high school. And so there was a little mishap. And sometimes, like, when there isn't a good education to what exactly your disease is and what you're going through with the people that you're working with. So
Hmm,
my school staff always needed to know what was going on. You should not hide it from them because they can't help you. They will be in silence with you. And so when everyone knew what was going on, they were able to, give me some leeway,
hmm,
feel sorry for me, let me excuse me for some things. But like,
hmm,
I know that in university, for the most part, there hasn't been that much leeway. There really isn't. I know of a lot of sickle cell patients that actually can't continue to university, or they're struggling. It's taking them a really long time. And honestly, like, if it has to take you 6 years to complete your degree, that is okay. Run your own race. Don't
hmm.
let, like, your disease should never define you.
It should
You know,
never.
like, it's just a part of you. It is not just you. Do you know what I
Hmm,
mean? And so I think that it has been hard sometimes. I won't lie. Like, there's mental health implications, balancing appointments. Sometimes I'm just not well enough because
hmm,
there's been things that I've had to go through after the transplant. And
hmm,
so it's been hard. It puts a lot of stress on the body, but I've always been a fighter. I just got to keep going.
hmm.
Um, I do try and communicate with my professors, but I do wish that their universities definitely they just need more policies in place. And I hope that's something, if I'm able to get into like public health and, like, into a place where I can change policies, that's something I'd like to do, is have more policies in place that can create leeway resources for people who can't come to school every day, who,
Hmm.
like, they miss school for a large period of time. Like, I don't think people should be so penalized because of something they can't control. So
True,
my
true.
experience.
That's very true. Um, Hopefully there are more policies that can be created for things like that. And also I feel like people also if you're going into school, be transparent enough to
Mm,
share these details. To be very sincere with you, it's because here you wouldn't have options to work from home or study from home. Back then in Nigeria, it wasn't that, like, if we go on strike, we go on strike for months, right? So it was not that how easy in quote it is. The amount of money you spend on data, I know. The amount of money you spend on data, you understand? So you won't put on your phone, not talk of doing all this online schooling and stuff like that. It's not that
yeah,
easy. Even when you get the
mhm,
data, you are still struggling with the bad network, right? And when
exactly.
so it's always one thing or the other. So I feel like whether you're coming from whatever part of the world you are, when you get to an institution, put it in the front page that, please, this is what I'm struggling with, and this is what
Yeah.
I've been struggling with, so that they put things in place for you. So before you say your final words, we're gonna play a game. Just to just to dial everything down. I know the last time you had an event, it was a concert.
Mhm,
And it was a very nice one. I think I was in town, but I had another event that same day. So
mhm. It
I
was a
need
busy
to,
weekend.
well, I
I
was
remember.
following online. I was following online, and it was really good.
Don't worry,
So
guys. Pray for COVID to go. We'll be back and popping again.
hopefully they allow we don't have the second wave in our batter. Hopefully,
Mhm,
I'm hoping that we don't have it in our batter. But
right.
right now, please, let's make sure we keep safe wherever you are. Wear your mask, sanitize, wash your hands. It's very important. So we're gonna play a game. I know it's something you're familiar with. It's song association, where I give you a word and you just give us a song and the artist
Hey,
behind the song.
that's so funny. I've been watching a whole bunch of these, and I do not think I'm gonna do good. Hey, Manu, please don't
So
disgrace me.
let's just try. We'll help each other out. So just to kind of dial down the tone, so that we can finish the show really nice. And guys, if you have any other question, I know that we have just 1 hour for the show, but if you have any other questions, or you want to ask her, okay, so after the transplant, what's your genotype? Okay, so what's your genotype? Did it change from SS to AS? Does it miracle? Yeah, because I know a couple of people can. So let me ask that. So what happens to your genotype after the transplant?
Yes, I actually answered this question to a friend recently. So
Yeah.
genetically, as in my ovaries, what my ovaries will produce, my eggs, I am still SS.
Okay.
So I still need to know who my potential partner is, my potential, um, the father of my child, what their genotype is. However,
Yeah.
technically, phenotypically, in my blood, I am AS because
Okay.
my bone marrow is now my sister's bone marrow and she's AS. So the blood that runs through my veins is actually AS. I don't have SS blood in my system anymore. So, yeah.
Okay, so I believe that should answer that. So if you have any other questions, because I kind of, in my head, the last time I read about stuff like that, that was the same thing that happened to the person. But just to clear it on here so that people can have that idea of what happens after. And it's also important, you please ask questions, always ask questions,
Mhm.
never be shy. So I'll give you 3 words. Normally I give 5 words, but I'll give you 3 words this time.
Okay.
So it's
Nice.
song association, and the first word will be water.
Water,
Yeah.
water, you turned into wine. Oh,
How
for
did you have to do like this? Okay, so I think everybody knows that song. Everybody knows that song. Okay, so the second one, let me give you like medical kind of kind of words. Okay, so let's use blood.
Blood,
Yeah.
blood, blood. Um. Oh, is there a song? Hey, blood. I know there's one song. There has to be one gospel song. Oh, that precious blood of Jesus. Is that a song?
It's all the blood of Jesus.
Hey,
The way
good
you added
one.
pressure to it. And it's an hymn, I believe. Okay, someone said genotype, phenotype. That's some anatomy there. Yes.
Sorry, sorry.
She has no choice but to know so many things at that point. And the last word will be money.
Money,
Mm-hmm.
money, money. What's that? I know that Cardi B song, Money. Every sometimes something money. That Cardi B song.
I have no
I'm not,
clue.
I don't know the lyrics. I'm not
So
gonna
money
lie.
is somewhere.
But
I'm I'm
the
trying
name of the song is Money. The name of the song is Money. If you know,
um
comment below.
I think another one will be Time Na Money by I have no clue who sang it, but it's an old Nigerian Time Na Money, Time Na Money.
There's even
Use your time well. Something. So
too
yeah.
much money. Problems how to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That's one of my favorite songs. Hallelujah.
Oh my.
Hallelujah.
So guys, please put a big round of applause for Ufuoma. Help me thank her for being on the show today. And before you go, what will be your last words? How would you encourage someone going through life? Let's use that word. Going through life right now, struggling through one disease or one thing or the other, and they're close to their breaking point. What would you tell the person right now?
um, I don't know if it's the best advice, but I think it's the advice that's kind of just encompasses my battle in life is just keep pushing
Mm,
because I promise you 7 years is not forever.
mm,
7 years is not forever. Those words is what got me through every crisis,
mm,
100 days of transplant, just knowing that this is just a temporary season. You're going to look back. You're going
mm,
to thank God for that time. You're going to even smile about your worst times in life. I even
mm,
think about last week where I was like, oh, this is not a good week for me. And I
mm,
look back and I'm like, I thank God I'm in this week. So hang on to knowing that this season is not going to be forever.
mm,
So yeah.
mm. And as we look at 2020, I know that there's been a lot.
Yeah.
But what I would say is reflect. I'm grateful for 2020. I think that so many things that happened this year wouldn't have happened if we didn't have all the time on our hands. You know, before people like, oh, I don't have time. Oh, I don't have time. What? Literally, time came down
Time.
from heaven and came. God literally said, you know what, that time all of you have been using to use excuse, take. And a lot of us have been able to do a lot of things. So when you're thinking of all the struggles of 2020, be grateful for the things that you're able to achieve this year. And yes, so please, if you want to follow, make sure that you go to Not
Thank
Just
you,
You.
Daniel.
It's all one word. Not just you. That's NOTJUSTYOU.ca. Make sure you go there, sign up for the newsletter, contact them. You see their Instagram and Facebook logos. You should click on that and follow and like their pages, support them, and make sure that you give. We're entering into it's the most wonderful time of the year. So we're
I
going
love
into
Christmas.
Christmas, and make sure that I put a smile on someone's face. Please don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, like you can see on the screen. Um, yes, we can't wait to have you another amazing and beautiful or handsome guest next week. Yes, thank you, Gift. Gift put it on the screen, not just you.ca. Make sure you support them, and when they have events, please
Thank
make sure
you.
you come for it. Till we see you next week for another amazing episode of Life Matters and Adedire. God bless you and have an amazing, amazing week. Bye.
Bye, guys.